Hi guys, today I'm going to be showing you some two-point perspective drawing techniques. We're going to use the theme of architecture for this. Start off with drawing some basic cubes and cuboids, then a simple shop from the corner view, if you were stood on the street corner looking at it, and then move on to a slightly more complicated piece of modernist architectural design through two-point perspective. Cheers. Okay, so perspective drawing, we're going to look at two-point perspective. With perspective drawing, you'd start off with your two vanishing points, and where you position those will determine the type of drawing that you have. So you want to have a play around with a few different vanishing points first of all. So I've got two up there. I'm going to do some smaller ones as an example actually initially. So I'm going to go 10 centimeters apart, and I'm going to play around with placing my start line in different places. So two vanishing points. What we now need is the first line of our object. So for the sake of this one, I'm going to have the vanishing points in the center. I'm going to draw my front line. Now for the two sides, I'm going to link them to the vanishing point. Any line that would be horizontal goes to the vanishing point. Any line that would be vertical remains a perfectly vertical line. Some lines go to the opposite vanishing point, which I'll show you in a sec. So if I'm drawing a cuboid, there's the front edge. Here are my two vanishing points. I've now got the two sides, and that shape is complete because there's no view of the top or the bottom to link anywhere else. So the position of the vanishing points is very crucial in getting the design and the layout correct of what you actually want to draw. So let's show another example over here where I'm going to draw the vanishing points and have them at the top and draw my object slightly lower down. What I'm building up to do is some kind of architectural drawing, so I want to see the sort of view as if I was stood at the corner of a building looking out down the street, so I can see a lot of detail. So this time you see I'm doing the same thing, linking to those vanishing points. But now I've got a space to fill at the top because of the view that I've taken. So let's say I'm going to go with a cuboid, so I'm going to go shorter on this side than the other side over there. I now need to work out the top. So for the top is now where we work to the opposite vanishing point. So I'm going to go for the top and lightly go across. For your first few drawings, keep in all of these construction lines because it helps you to remember and understand the process by which you've drawn it. So now over here, you can see I've got something that looks much more convincingly, there goes my pencil, like a 3D shape. This one is correct, but the perspective is not really an angle that we would usually see of an object. Much like with these pencils. Right. So I'm just going to play around with doing the same thing, but with lots of different positions, and just build up my skills of drawing a basic two-point perspective shape first. Okay, so what I've learned from this is I need to think about the distance between my vanishing points and the start of my first line to try and get a nice natural perspective to what I'm doing, so it's not forced where it goes from being large to tiny, and it's not flat. So I want to give it, you know, some realism. So I'm going to start about 2 centimeters down from my two vanishing points, and I'm going to draw a line there, and I can always increase the size of this. I'm then going to link that up to there and see if nice light pencil you would do this. I'm going a bit darker so you can see what I'm doing. So you can see whether I've got the position and the size of it right. Now what some of my students have been recently working on is designing a shop or a restaurant. So for this I'm just going to draw our building on the corner of a street. So I've got the front corner there, my two back pieces. If you can imagine you're standing on a street corner and these are the roads going away from you into the distance. You may not want it to be that long, so I could take a vertical line in here and then divide that off. So I've got two properties. I want mine to be larger, and this one can just be contextual, so it shows that it's in a strip of shops. And this one here shows the other end of my business. Now the design that I originally had was for a restaurant, so it had a lot more room at the back for the kitchen. Again, I can have another contextual building next to it. And then I need to think about the roofs. Now, if we make it a double-story building, I'm just going to go up again in a straight line. And then continue those lines as before. By being two-story, we now don't see the top of the shot, but we've got a nice clear space for a banner and the design there. So now I'm going to move on to time-lapse and start adding in my other details, remembering that all the vertical lines need to be straight. All the horizontal lines should be, if they're small lines, you can use these as a basis and work parallel, but if they're longer lines, you need to run to the correct vanishing point.
Like that. Like that.
So what I'm going to do is draw an architectural design based on an architectural sort of mid-century style, so like 1950s style, but also a bit of like brutalism. So this will work well because it uses quite a lot of solid geometric shapes, so it'll lend itself quite well to being a perspective drawing.